We're near the nesting grounds of the Amazonian wood quail. 6 months ago, we rescued this little bird from smugglers. But now, my trusty assistant, loving wife and colleague, will release her back to her natural habitat.
It's okay. You can go now. Just like this.
Let me talk to her.
Welcome home. Wait a minute. I think she's trying to warn us.
Oh, no, Linda.
Julio, look!
Hi, my name is Johannes Wolters and we are here at the Blue Sky Studios and we are going to speak with the Art and Design Department and we are going to speak with the art director Tom Cardone and Vicki Saulls.
My name's Tom Cardone. I'm the art director on the film. So I come onto the project early with the director and we'll try to establish a style, a look for the film, and then we'll figure out what characters are supposed to be in the film and locations, and we'll start to come up with concepts for what that might look like, and then as we decide on all that stuff, we move it through the production process, and so I'll take it through the whole process and try to shepherd the ideas through to the end, to the final product. So
I'm very much interested in character design because in live action the star brings the character with him or with her, but here you have to form it. This is very, very interesting because you have to decide if the guy is Frodo Baggins or Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
And that's like playing God.
Well, but a lot of it comes from the director and what their vision is for that character. But then most of the time it develops through the process, and then you really find the personality. But there's so many people involved in what you're talking about. There's the director, there's the writer, there's the animator, there's the character designer, and all those things contribute to what the feeling of that final character is. But usually the director will pitch, like in this film, for instance, Carlos, our director, knew that character very well from the story phase, and the story artists were able to get his excitement and his description of the character into the storyboards already, and then everybody else was pretty familiar with who that character needed to be, and because of that, it all really just came together,
You are not coming up with your own ideas and saying, that's my idea, it's much better.
No, but there were, obviously it's a group effort, but the director has a vision for what he feels that character should be, and everybody heads in that direction. But often what happens is it may become enhanced as you go along, or exaggerated in a good way, or it just kind of takes on a little bit of a life of its own and it becomes what it wants to be too. But all with the guidance of the director, and it's shaped that way.
That has not to work only in CG, but also in stereo. How does stereo endangers your work or influence your work?
Stereo, it's interesting when that became an aspect of this process, because we spend a lot of the time making this film thinking about focus, where you want the audience to look, and we do that with lighting and texture and color, and the planning goes all the way back to before we build any models, just that sort of focus for each scene. And then when you add the stereo component, it can change their focus, So it can all of a sudden make something that is a foreground element becomes very important, and you look at that instead of looking where the character is. So as we became familiar with this process, then what we do is we will look at it in stereo while we're making the film. And so the stereo guys are involved very early on. And so we make sure that everything we do, now that, because it's a relatively new thing for all of us. So as we make these films now, and I think we were successful on this film, is using the stereo to enhance everything and making it help with that focus and with that experience of watching the film. And we do that by involving our stereo artists early in the process, And then at multiple phases through the process, we look at it in stereo and see how it looks, and we'll make adjustments, you know.
What makes you very endearing to me is that you have gray hair, because this is you have to design everything, not only the characters, but the latest, the tiniest bits of grass somewhere over there.
Yeah.
And it's
No, you're right.
You're in the end, if somebody comes to you and says, "I want to do an animated feature," you must be running away from them in the opposite direction.
It's good that you know that. It's extremely labor intensive. It's like everything has to be designed, especially when a film has a style. You know, it can't just be like, oh, make it like that real thing. That you want to change it a little, change the proportions, make it like with the style of RIO. RIO is supposed to be recognizable as a real place, but if you really look at it, it's a little bit off to add character to it. You know, and so you don't just take things as in a photographic way, and it makes it feel more fun. For this film, it was appropriate, and so everything has to be touched, everything has to be handled, whether it's a soda can laying on the floor in the background, or a rock, or a building, or an entire set, or a character. All things are handled with that level of detail, and you know, I'll tell you, the crew is amazing, because the artists, the designers, the modelers, everybody that handles it is passionate about it, and so they bring it.
I've seen the first 5 minutes, and unbelievable. Is there something you can't do? Because there's thousands of people, and the environment, and cut to the next scene, next thing. It's amazing. How long does it take?
Yeah.
To
Well, you know, it takes a lot of planning, because you have to be smart about how you do things. So along with the design aspect of it is planning things intelligently. So, you know, like if you have a cast of hundreds of people and their background characters, well, you have to figure out how you're going to be able to make that many people and animate them and make them feel different from each other. And so you employ different things, like different colored clothing, things like that, or you just, you know, shapes. You know, if you can only have, you know, if you can only design like 10 different human beings, they have to be different enough from each other so that when they're in the background, you notice that, right? So there's a lot of planning that goes into it, all of it.
Plus, I think challenges can be really inspiring.
True, yeah.
What's your favorite scene?
What's my favorite thing?
Yeah.
Sculpting the characters.
Yes, of course, but okay, then I have to rephrase the question. What's your favorite character then? What made it most?
In this film, it's probably Tiago, just because he's so cute. He's Blue and Jewel's son. You can see him over there. But in general, Nigel, just because he's so wonderfully evil.
Well, I have to add, because he was so talked. If they are coming up with a 2D drawing, is it very hard? Where's the biggest challenge to translate that into a 3D sculpture?
Well, there's different character designers, so you have to sort of learn to, and I've been here long enough, so you kind of learn to interpret some of the lines in their drawing, because some can be really sketchy and some can be really more like a draftsman. So it's just looking at the essence of that, and also listening to the art director and the director and what they imbued into that design that the character designer did from the drawing, and then just trying furthering it along. So.
I loved her very, very much. It's terrific.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Okay, we have to stop. I'm sorry. Okay. I was tapped 10 minutes ago on the shoulder. It's a great meeting you. It's very, very nice
Nice to
meeting
meet you,
Thank
too.
Huh.
Well, at first, I was afraid. I was petrified. I kept thinking that I could never live. I could barely fly. And I spent, so many nights thinking how he did me wrong, and I grew strong. And I learned how to get along. I'm a survivor. I got the eye of a tiger. Been training to gain and eat to my fiber. You been staying alive, well, I've been staying alive. Watch where you sit when I spit my saliva like, you never seen a cockatoo? Rock
Rocking and shocking and dropping and popping and locking too.
I can't believe it. Daddy!
You crying? It's a heavy moment and I'm very vulnerable right now.
Watch what I can do without no auto-tune.
What?
Ooh.
Oh, no, he didn't.
If you try to keep me down, I'll just come back stronger. You try to cut me short, I'll just come back longer. If you beat me at ping pong, I'll just play ping ponga. Give me my throne, I am ready to thrive. One thing I know.
Back, you barbarian. That's adorable.
I will survive. I will survive.
Rio 2.
We attack at the midnight hour because it's more evil.
In Real D and Digital 3D.